Fireside Chat with Brian Pirrip, LCS Explorer and American Adventurer, Part 1. Welcome to what I think is going to end up being episode number 5 for the Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson. I am your host, Danny Cards, and thank you for joining me. And I see from my stats that thank you to the 55% of you joining from Spotify, 31% from Apple Podcast, 5% from Overcast, part of it which I think is me, and then 3% each from Spotify for podcasters, again, probably me, web browser, and Podbean, who I think I know who that might be, but it's not me. So I'm glad to say that. So since the last time I monologued, we have reached the 100 plays milestone. So mini hooray, that's awesome. The audience size has also grown to 58 unique listeners and 14 followers from Spotify. So thank you to each and every one of you because you're starting from the ground level of something that I hope is awesome and special. And I truly do appreciate your time because you could be listening to any podcast right now, but you're here with me. So thank you. I also want to thank my first guest, Dan, the great curator, who I was thrilled to have as my first guest to talk about BTS, which again stands for buying, trading, and selling. And I could not have asked for a better first guest, someone who is entertaining, engaging, and certainly polarizing. Having Dan right out of the gate opens up potential doors for me. And I understand because of his polarity, it may also close some doors for me, which I think would be unfortunate, but I think it's okay because like I said early on in the pod, there's so many people in this hobby that we love. And one person or a couple of people or a few people, they don't make or break it. There are so many great content creators, voices, and personalities, experts in their respective fields and specialties within the hobby. And I look forward to talking with them for both your benefit, but also mine. And so the only thing I'll add on to that is that, about this whole polarity of Dan is on the heels of a post I made on Instagram. And that is to just simply state that I choose positivity and I choose inclusivity. And that isn't just a 10x the hobby, but it's just good for my own mental and emotional well being. So thank you again, Dan, for coming on to the podcast. And I will be sending you something as a thank you. I will just say it like that. So I am now recording this after having had my second guest, who, if Dan is one of the most polarizing, Brian Pirrip is the least polarizing. I want to thank Brian for coming onto the pod, especially because, again, this podcast, it's starting from zero. We all start from zero. And for Brian to have faith in me to be able to be a good podcast host, and again, not for just an interview, but more so of a fireside chat. I mean, I I really hope you all like this because if you're a true collector, if you're in this for the long run, if you romanticize this hobby, I'll keep going. If you like positive content and well edited and produced content, and also, quite frankly, if you love America, and I know we have Canadian listeners, and I need my Korean listeners to step it up. Guys, got to get into my audience demographics here. But if you love America, if you love positive content, well edited and produced content, then Brian is the perfect guest for me to have for you. And so if you do not already follow him on TikTok and or Instagram, please do yourself a favor and pause this right now and go do it. And you know what? I'm going to give 10 seconds of dead air right now, just in case you aren't pausing. But if you are driving, do it when you're do it when you get to where you're going. I don't advise you to do it at a red light, but I mean, look, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. So, so it is. But 10 seconds starting now. This is really awkward. Awkward silence. Wait, did I count it right? I think that was 10 seconds. Okay, so One last thing. We had, when I say we, Brian and I had a bit of a technology issue. He was recording from his car and he explains it in what will be part two, but we had a bit of a technology issue that naturally made this into a two-parter. It was perfect. The pause, the break was like around the 30-minute mark. So near the end of this episode, you'll hear us having some technical issues, but I'll try to put up some closing interlude music at the end so you know that the episode is over. Then, of course, you flip the tape around and go around to, the B side, right? Okay. So, without further ado, part one of my fireside chat with Brian Pirrip. One. Okay, I think we're live. Is it? There we go. All right. Welcome to the second fireside chat in the Car Diary with Hobbyist Thompson podcast, where today we have a hobby industry expert on local card shops. In my first few chapters, I explored the actions of buying, selling, and trading, and I romanticized my childhood local card shop in Queens, New York City. And I could not think of anyone better to talk about the LCS experience than someone who has been to the best of my guesstimation, maybe 100 card shops all across America. I did give him show notes. He said, let's just record. Let's go ahead. So I didn't really ask this ahead of time from him. But he has recorded his entire journey in TikTok and also Instagram. This is Brian Pirrip. Before I allow him to introduce himself properly, I wanted to ask you, Brian, about the following hats that you wear, literally, figuratively. Hats you wear or I think you have worn, and you can say yes or no to them one by one, and then I'll allow yourself the opportunity to introduce yourself. So here we go. Are you ready?
Sure. Yep, let's do it.
Awesome. All right, collector.
Yes.
TikToker.
Yes.
Instagrammer.
Yep.
Foodie.
Not so much.
Okay. Adrenaline seeker.
100%.
Phil Knight's right-hand man.
Actually, there's some truth to that.
Awesome. World traveler.
All the time.
Lover of local card shops.
100%.
And American.
1,000%.
Awesome. Okay, so we've never met. We did a very brief kind of like talk before pressing record. Again, I apologize for my show notes being so long. That's just me trying to be overly prepared. I did do some research on you. I found 2 articles about you online, and I've watched 2 interviews you did with Jeremy Lee from Sports Cards Live and Buster from The Buster Show. And I got to say, you are an awesome interview. And I want to let you know, though, you are only my second guest ever on this podcast. So please do not expect any sort of professionalism that you receive from those 2 great podcast hosts. And having said that, Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, man. Like, I really enjoyed those other ones, but man, I'm really happy to be here today. And I'm happy to be number 2, man. That's a lot of fun. Congratulations on starting this up and getting it going. Anybody who's wearing a Vancouver Grizzlies hat is cool with me.
Thank you so much. That shows my 90s basketball bona fides. I am not a fan of the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm a fan of the 90s basketball era. So
yeah, well, I spent a bunch of, like, my mother's actually Canadian, so I spent a bunch of time in Vancouver, and I remember when the Vancouver Grizzlies came to be, and my cousin was like an announcer for the Vancouver Grizzlies, and so I very much felt a real bond to that team. But I was actually brokenhearted when the Grizzlies moved to Memphis because I loved them being in Vancouver.
All right, so I had other questions in mind, but this is news to me. I did not know that. And let's just go right off the rails, from the beginning. So Who was your favorite Vancouver Grizzly player? I'll just name 2, like right off the top of my head. And you just tell me Sharif Abdul-Rahim or Big Country Bryant Reeves.
I'd say Bryant Reeves. But I'm a Trailblazer fan, so even though I love the Grizzlies being in Vancouver, I'm all Blazers. For me, it was all about Clyde Drexler, Terry Porter, Jerome Kersey, Cliff Robinson, and Kevin Duckworth. That's my team.
Oh man, and I'm guessing you were also were you a big Arvydas Sabonis fan too then?
No, not so much. Not so much.
because he was
I,
before.
yeah, that was I was kind of like the Blazers fan in me was really 89 to like 93, and then so I didn't really know the Blazers very well before 89, and I didn't know them very well after 93 when I moved away.
Got it. All right, sounds good. And that's actually right around the time I started collecting. So, but no, I there's so much to talk about. The first one I wanted to ask you. So, if for those of you who follow you on TikTok and Instagram, they will know that you go across America and you go to so many local card shops. Let me ask you, do you have that exact number off the top of your head
I would
or
say probably
close
a
to it?
couple hundred.
Couple
Um,
hundred. Okay, I was
yeah,
off.
I think I've probably done. I can't even imagine how many I've done actually on the TikTok and Instagram. But
Mm,
the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that I was doing a local card shop traveling around the country way before I started my channels. I was going to
mm.
local card shops like on a quest to go and hit every one of them back. I started doing it in like 2009. And so like
Well,
I'd probably already been into at least 100 card shops before I even started filming the first TikTok.
wow. So what you're saying is people can find your old stuff on Friendster and MySpace.
Go to MySpace and you'll see my stuff.
Awesome. So, wow, since 2009, you've been to over a couple of hundred. So, I got to ask you, I think for folks, again, for folks of you who already follow you and have seen your stuff, how do you do what you do? Like, how do we get to do what you do? It's such a awesome, it's like a collector's dream. I mean, I'll just say it like that, simply stated.
Yeah. Well, I think how you do it is, I mean, I'm a military brat, right? My dad was in the Marine Corps and then later in the Army, and so I got a taste when I was a kid for travel and a lot of states and travel. I lived in pretty much every part of the country you can live in, and then all over the world, and so I had it embedded in me at a very early age to travel and to really go from state to state to state. So I'd already that was very much a part of who I was, and so when I was kind of building my career has always allowed me to travel a lot. I was doing television for a long time, and I was having to travel from state to state to state, and so I've always found a way to make my career uh, synonymous with traveling. So a lot of people see what I do and they think, "Oh, Brian's just kind of traveling from state to state, just like as a tourist." And I'm always in it. All the places I go, I'm not going to these places because I'm, just trying to have fun and be a tourist. I'm usually there because I have some sort of a work element to be there. And so that's how I even got into all the local card shops. Is that as I was traveling the country for work, I would pop into local card shops as kind of a way to kind of understand the local culture of wherever I was, whether it was, Chicago or Brooklyn, New York, or, Albuquerque, New Mexico, or even Honolulu, Hawaii. If I was into these various different places, I would pop into a local card shop as kind of a way to like bond to the local, people, get a little bit of flavor because usually most of the people that are running a local card shop are very much embedded into they are from there, they're usually born and raised there, and so there's this deep tie. And so by hanging out with whoever's in the local card shop, it's like a community. It's like I know there's a common theme, and we're all collectors, or we have some sort of bond to sports or the hobby, and so it's a way for me to feel like I got a little bit of a home anywhere I go.
That is so awesome. I Can I ask you, with regards to your traveling, we don't get to see the behind the scenes of you actually traveling to these all. I see sometimes you're like in a parking lot and you go into the shop, but are you doing more driving or flying to these destinations, or combination
Always
of both?
driving. I'm always driving.
Always
I mean, I
driving.
have flown, right? Like, but then I'll fly, I'll land, I'll get a rental car, and then drive around. But like, what was it? A year and a half ago, when me and my buddy Sam, we got in a car in Los Angeles and we drove from LA all the way down to Key West, and then all the way up to New York City,
Wow.
and then all the way back from New York City back to California. I mean, I have destroyed my car, right? My car has more miles than anybody should. And we'll just be like, okay, there's this card shop that's, a couple hours out of the way. Let's go hit it up, you know? And so most of it's been driving.
That's amazing. Okay, because my follow-up question to you, if you did say flying, was do you remember that movie Fight Club?
Flight
Where
Club?
Yeah, do you remember Fight Club? It was, oh gosh, when did it come out? It was like in the early 2000s maybe,
Oh,
but
Fight Club. Fight
yeah,
Club. I mean,
yeah,
with
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. Yeah, yeah, dude.
Yeah, he was Tyler Durden. It was like before, yeah. So it was like this whole scene where he's like, he's naming all the airports, like, SeaTac, MCO, Orlando, and all that stuff. And then he's like, he just, that's where, well, I don't want to spoil anything from the movie, although it's been out for like 20 years.
No, you can
But
spoil it away. Spoil it away.
So you never felt like him, like you were like, but I know from your prior interviews, you always feel like you want to be on the move. That is part of you.
I'm the opposite of the Fight Club guy because I actually enjoy that stuff. Like,
yes, and no fighting too, right?
Like,
yeah.
No, I'm the guy, like when I'm in an airport and I'm sitting there on a layover, I'm actually happy as a clam, dude. Like most people are miserable, having a horrible time. I find a way to have a great time. I can focus on my work. I can, get some food and, like I'm like you were asking before, am I a foodie? I'm not a foodie in the sense that I'm like some sort of, 5-star kind of stuff. I'm a foodie in that I like dirty food, right? I like the chips, the nacho cheese. I like I'm usually having wings in every single airport. So I'm a foodie in the sense that I like my trashy food everywhere I go. I like my, quesadillas and my burritos.
Yes.
So I'm a foodie of a low food.
And the reason I asked you that, or I put that in the initial question and answer bio, was I've seen you eat, in your videos, and you have like, like you have like delicious food. Like you have like the hot dog with all the fixins, and you have the nachos with all the fixins.
No, that's my stuff. My stuff is that kind of food. Give me all that kind of food. I'm a foodie of the low end sort.
We have now transitioned into the diner, drives, and dives part of the part of the recording, of the Fireside chat. So thank you so much. I just wanted to get like I had to ask those questions because when I'm watching these videos, I'm salivating in many ways. I'm salivating as someone who loves food, who loves cards, who loves the journey. And you're just getting to travel to amazing, you're ripping packs in stadiums, you're ripping packs, of course you're going to the local card shops, which is why you're here, and we'll get to that. But I've even seen you rip at the Grand Canyon. You've been ripping at the, there was a race car doing donuts, and you're ripping packs. I don't even know how you're ripping it because, all the G-force. I mean,
that was really challenging, actually.
Yeah, I mean, was that the wildest ripping experience you had, or is there something crazier? Oh no, we're losing your audio, I think, a little bit here.
We spent the day and we were up.
Okay.
Oh no. Me and my buddies were in.
We got you now.
We were in Malibu, and we all went. Can you hear me? Okay.
It's a little bit choppy. I think we're getting you back.
Paragliding in.
We're good. Uh-oh, I hear a little bit of wind turbulence.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, good. Go ahead. Craziest place you've ripped.
Anyways, craziest place I ripped was probably paragliding over Malibu. That was pretty nuts.
Wow. I mean, my follow-up joke is going to be, are you going to rip while skydiving? But you're paragliding and you're ripping open packs of baseball cards. I mean, I think you mostly do baseball.
Yeah, actually quite expensive packs too. I was opening packs of 1993 SP and 2011 Topps Update, looking for the Mike Trout rookie and the Derek Jeter SP rookie, and that was crazy. I mean, I was also ripping packs in the Everglades with alligators all over the place. That was kind of fun. No, that was not Everglades. That was the New Orleans Bayou. I was up on the sand of Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado at the top of the sand dunes trying to find the Shohei Ohtani Bowman Chrome rookie. So I've done, there's been some wild rips. I just got bored of people being at their desks ripping, breaking with just their hands, I got that. So I wanted to kind of find a way to make things more interesting.
I imagine the alligators did not have penny sleeves and top loaders for you.
Yeah, that's the thing is I take around this little kind of thing I got at the Container Store that just has, I keep some top loaders, I keep some one touch, and I keep a bunch of penny sleeves. So anywhere I am, I can instantly put that card in a safe place.
I'm writing down in my notes here, Container Store, not an official sponsor, but we will plug them.
But they should be here. Right? They definitely should be.
I actually heard that's a nice little segue to something that I heard you say. I got to go to my show notes here about how you are a super organizer. You organize everything in your life. And I am trying to see whether it was Jeremy's podcast or Buster's, where, okay, minute 12 of Jeremy Live's podcast. You actually have a journal that you've written in daily for 20 years, which is perfect for the car diary. But you also say that you organize to the point that you're putting Marie Kondo to shame with your organizing habits. Is that right?
Yeah, Marie Kondo's got nothing on me, man. I would love to give her a master class in how to properly organize.
Well,
It's
yeah, go ahead.
It's wild. It's like not just the physical life, but the digital life. I have the most well organized digital life you could possibly have. It's scary. It's beautiful. It's a piece of art.
I'm guessing that means you're a inbox zero type of guy. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's
Oh man.
It's like a hobby. I enjoy it for what it is.
Okay.
It's another form of collecting, and so all of it is collecting, right? Like baseball cards is collecting, shoes are collecting, and also I find the way that I organize my like music collection or even my documents. It's all collecting at the core of it.
Awesome. Well, I want to get to your time with like your journey in the hobby and outside and everything that you do and everything that makes you, because I think you are just such a positive energy and positive force. So what I want to talk about first before we get to like say the Phil Knight or the Nike, because I want to know who played you in the movie Air and all that. But let me just say, and then I want to get your thoughts on this. When I see your content, and I feel like I could do a whole nother episode with you about like your, social media and TikTok, but I'm going to do my best to like not do that too much because I'm looking at the clock. We're already 15 minutes in, and I think I went way too long the first time with my first guest. But so here we go. So I think that when I see your content, you're not just writing a love letter to the hobby, you're actually writing a love letter to America, because you're traveling all across the country and you're romanticizing the LCS experience and just road trips and Americana. So, and since you came to the pod, I'll let you use that one for free. But the next time, the next slogan or tagline, I'm gonna ask you in return. The payment's gonna be taking me onto one of your road trips. But I want to say this to you, but also this is like almost like a message to Michael Rubin, who will be a future guest on this podcast. I not really, but I'm just going to put that out there in the universe. But and you know who Michael Rubin is and Fanatics and all that. So does he know you, by the way?
Yep.
Okay. Well, let me just say this, Michael Rubin, he knows you or not and all that. I mean, clearly he does. Brian Pirrip is a hobby ambassador who is going to single-handedly 10x this hobby, whether he knows it or not, because of his positive content, his romanticization. I totally messed that up, but I'm not editing it out. Everything you do for the hobby in America, it's just simply amazing, and I applaud you for it, because your reach is getting to people's. Again, I don't want to be here talking about content so much with TikTok, but like, you're getting onto people's FYPs, for your pages in TikTok, because of it's resonating with people. It's the nostalgia factor. And it's the nostalgia. Of course, we commonly think of nostalgia for folks who are older, who are reminiscing about their childhoods. But I think, especially because TikTok is for the younger generation, it's resonating with people who maybe yearn for something. What maybe it's not nostalgia, but they're yearning for something, and you're giving it to them in content form. So that open-ended question, like what do you think about everything that I just said?
Oh, thanks for that, man. It was really kind. Yeah, I think it is a combo. It's not just about the hobby for me. It's about people. It's about America. It's about community, and it's nostalgia. It's all kind of baked in together. It's kind of the reasons why I love the hobby is there's a nostalgia element to it. I like the community element, that I can meet up with somebody in a totally different part of the country, and we have this common thread about something that maybe people in our own lives don't understand. Like, card collecting is really weird for a lot of our relatives or our friends. But when I, meet a fellow collector or a sports card or trading card collector or a sports fan, that we have a common interest. I like the nostalgia, how it, the smell of an 89 Tops pack instantly transforms me to happy, teleports me to instantly happy times a long time ago. And so I like sharing all that. But like with the American stuff, we've had so much turmoil in our country the last, several years, particularly. And what's funny is that when I'm in a local card shop or I'm opening packs with kids or with, just random people that I meet at the Grand Canyon or wherever else, is the second we're ripping packs and we're talking about our favorite players when we were kids, or you know the time we met that one player, that one thing, it bonds us in a way that kind of instantly supersedes all the drama and the turmoil and the things that divide us. And so what I'm really trying to explore increasingly and over the next couple of years is how things like collectibles and hobbies, not just sports cards, but the collectibles and the hobbies as a whole, how it somehow unifies us and we forget about our issues. And so I plan on making my content and everything I'm going to be doing and some of the things I'm going to be releasing later this year and next year is kind of really focused on kind of bridging, cultural differences and helping us, find ways to actually bond and build communities over things that we actually share. And so, that's why one of the reasons I wanted to do this trip around the country was I just didn't like that. I thought that there was so much that was stagnant as far as ways that people were kind of exploring the hobby. And I didn't like that every single time somebody pulled a card, it was always a view of their hands and somebody shouting out, "Let's go," as loud as they could, over and over again. And I was like,
Yeah.
there's got to be a better way to do this. Let's go. And then, I would accidentally open, like the first time I actually gave out cards at a game, it was the Dodgers game. And I had a box of tops. It was just 89 tops. And I was walking with it with two of my buddies. We were walking down to our seats. And the plan was we were going to film ourselves opening these packs of tops and I thought it would be a lot of fun to open packs at a game. But while I'm walking down the stairs to get to my seat, and I was up in the upper deck, some guy goes, is that a box of baseball cards? And I was like, yeah. He goes, yo, can I get one of those packs? And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. And I handed him a pack, and it was like I had a loaf of bread on the beach, and everybody was seagulls, because it was like we got swarmed with people that were like, I want a pack, I want a pack, I want a pack. And next thing you know, we're throwing out packs into the crowd, and people were going crazy for it. So it wasn't even planned. And then, after the game, people are coming up and saying, hey, man, I really enjoyed that. Or, hey, we were having fun trading cards with each other in the stands. And I was like, okay, there's really something there. So a lot of the things that we've kind of discovered works with posting, whether it's like, giving out cards at Little League games or throwing out packs into the crowd or, doing a quest. It's a lot of these things have come out very organically from just our, traveling and talking to people, and things just kind of come out. And what we've discovered is there's this kind of massive desire to have a community all around our shared interest.
That's awesome. So two things I want to say. The first is I wrote a note to myself here to clip the scene from Finding Nemo where the seagulls are like on the boardwalk and they're like, mine, 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 mine. So I'm going to clip that in there.
Pretty much what it was.
Yeah. And then secondly, I've both been a buyer and a streamer on Whatnot, and the giveaways, there are many names for them, but one I really liked was like the giveaway goblins, because they just come in and they're like, hey, what's being given away? So you have actually dealt with giveaway goblins in real life, in real form, like right in front of you, like just being like, hey, can I get that, and you're giving, you're a very giving individual.
Yeah, well, it's that's what I discovered is opening a pack with somebody else is just, it's like twice the fun kind of a thing. And so, I had like one of the special things that me and my team did in the last couple of months is you probably saw this, is we had all these thousands and probably like 5,000 or 10,000 extra cards. And I'm like, what are we doing with these things? Like, and it wasn't just commons. Like, I'm talking like you can only have so many, Mike Trout, 2020 tops cards, right? And so we have all these cards and these stars and Hall of Famers and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, what are we going to do with him? And we did this giveaway where I had two sets of tops series 1. And I was like, well, why don't we give them away and have the person, whoever wins the thing, has to give away the second set to somebody else.
Yeah.
And then these people started writing these comments that were the kindest, nicest, just incredibly nice comments. And I was like, you know what? We're gonna mail cards all around the
Yep.
world to people that kind of wrote in comments. So next thing you know, I think we said we wrote a couple hundred. I mean, it was like
Mhm.
probably about 400 letters by the time we were done. And we were sending these letters
Wow.
to the Philippines, to Scotland, to Netherlands, to like all over the world, right? And it was just all of a sudden this feeling of like, whoa, there's this community of people that just, I don't know. It's been nothing but special experience after special experience since we really started kind of doing all this stuff.
That is so awesome. I feel like now you know the feeling of someone who just grinds on eBay as a seller who, if they have like 50 auctions ending in one night and they have to ship the next or ending in one night and then the very next day, if they get paid for all of them, hopefully they do, that they have to deal with all that packing and shipping. But I've done that myself. I've been the one who would post 50 listings to end in 5 days or a week. And the very next day, there I am, just like, it's almost like it's like a chore, but like a good one because you are almost getting into a groove. Or you're almost like getting into this mindset of like, I want to do this one thing efficiently. So, I got to put all the cards in the envelopes and then put the stamps and then find the address. And like, did you find enjoyment? Like, I know you already have this Marie Kondo mindset, but like, do you find enjoyment in things like that in the hobby where you're just doing like, routine or rote things over and over again? Oh no, did we lose Brian? Oh, okay. This is where maybe I have to pause the podcast and end the recording because I think we lost him. Oh no. I'm so sad. End recording, I think. But will that kick him out?